Okay, why the fuck is my hand so shaky? I'm gonna append the last video I recorded with this one because I was just looking back on some of the stuff I recorded because I've been through a lot of phases in my life. Like, really too much bullshit, right? Like, I graduated high school and I was, working at the mall, making beats on the side, just trying to figure out how to live. And then immediately after that, I'm working full time at a warehouse, minimum wage job. It sucks. Like, it is like epitome, bottom of the barrel, blue collar work. I'm putting stuff in boxes day in and day out. I did that for a few years. After about a year of that shit, I got sick of it. Started going to school full time. And so now I'm working full time and going to school full time, which is a lot of fucking work I would never wish on anybody. Hang on, my left hand's really shaky and unsteady for some reason. I'm also gonna change location. But yeah, after that, I worked a really bullshit 9 to 5 at a warehouse. And there were pockets during that time where I just wanted to record a video and document my feelings, because I knew that if I kept working on my goals, that would be the lowest it ever got, right? And that makes sense because I was in such a low position, but everything I was doing was to build, for these moments I'm seeing now. Because currently, right, flash forward to today, I'm 3 weeks out from finishing my degree, which is fucking crazy to think about, because this was never even my goal. It's weird to say that, but it's true. My goal was never really to get a degree. When I started community college, my entire goal was just to get into SDSU. I wanted to get into a good school and show people, hey, fuck you. Everyone who said I couldn't do it, fuck you, because I'm here now and I did. And I didn't even do that, right? I'm not graduating from SDSU. I'm graduating from UCSD. I wasn't even trying to get into the school, but I worked so hard that I overachieved my way into it. Sorry, my dog's coming in. It's also May's 5th birthday. So, wish that bug a happy birthday. She's showing her butt right now. But, she turns 5 today. I can't, I'm sorry, I get lost in some moments because I look at my background and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I think, okay, context and backstory here. When I graduated high school, my guardian went into the hospital the night before. He didn't get to see me walk across that stage. In fact, I almost didn't go to my graduation. If it wasn't for one friend who was coming down, driving 2 hours out of their way to see me, I wouldn't have gone, right? Them coming meant the fucking world to me, because it meant I had a reason to go still. I'm getting emotional. But this is 6 years ago. Or, oh my god, 7 years ago. This was 7 years ago. Sorry, that just hit me. Time is a crazy thing. But I had grown up my whole life, and that was my only security, my only blanket really was him, my only family. And when you lose that, I'm not getting emotional right now. It just kind of is coming out of my voice. But when you lose that, your whole world is gone. And nothing is the same. And it's hard to feel that way and still find purpose. Um, yeah, I was nearly homeless after he passed. Think about it. I had no money. I had no income, really. I was making when I like sit back and think about it, I was making, maybe $500 a month, if not significantly less, right? Like that was barely enough to pay for water and electricity to keep it on. I wasn't paying a mortgage or rent at that time, right? I was ready to be kicked out of that house every minute. And in fact, there was a point where every week there was a man showing up at my door with foreclosure notices trying to kick me out. Like, I didn't talk about this shit, but this is what I was going through on a day-to-day. And I didn't talk about it because I didn't understand how the fuck any of it was happening, right? Like, nobody had any context for this. If I'm just sharing this, it's like, whoa, what the fuck happened to him? You know? But this is real shit. Like, there were nights where, sleeping in that house was so fucking hard. I would go to the park. I would go to the public park, like a few blocks away. And it wasn't safe at all or smart, but it was the only way I was resting, I couldn't sleep in that fucking house. Everything reminded me of him, and at the time I felt like it was my fault, and I had people telling me it was my fault. Which is crazy. I was 17 years old and there were people blaming my grandfather's passing on me, saying I didn't do enough to take care of him. Like these are real comments I got from people. Like this is it's crazy to me because you wouldn't imagine the world could be so awful, right? Like if you're going through your life and you had like a regular, nuclear family or whatever, your frame of reference, that's fiction, right? And that was my life. Like I was living a perfectly normal life with my grandfather, all things granted. Like I have a shit family outside of him. Love my siblings to death, but I won't get into it. My parent is fucking awful. Yeah. And so like they weren't taking care of me. I had to take care of me. As I was saying, when you live that like normal day-to-day, picturesque life, you have like small problems. Your biggest problem is finding a girlfriend or getting laid. Like, you don't imagine that in 3 weeks' time you're gonna be hungry with no money for food. Like, that experience is so stark to contrast anything else. I mean, it's defining. And that's what I was going through after I graduated high school. I was broke, no money, barely any money. And then on top of it, I was having to figure out how to take care of a dog on my own, right? Because I was left with this dog, who I still have today. Love her to death. All my heart. Would not be here if I did not have her giving me some sort of responsibility, right? That's another thing too, is that I had responsibilities and things that I had to take care of still. And if you don't have those things, that's where I really feel sorry for people. Because those responsibilities remind you that you still have a purpose in those, dark times. You still have to move. You still have to get up every day. You still have to, take care of your business, feed your dog, feed your family, get money, whatever that is. And when you lose everything like that, it's impossible to imagine. But I did it. Point is that I did it. I went through that. Turned 18. I got whatever money was left in my grandpa's bank account. I think it was like $25,000, which is a lot of money. Right? It's enough to start a new life, but it's nothing that's gonna, carry me through all of this. I didn't, I promise you, if I could stretch $25,000 so thin that I made it last the 6.5 years it took me to get here, I'd be a fucking miracle worker. I should be Jesus. I'd be out there teaching homeless how to fucking, take care of business. But I'm not. That's not what I did. I worked my fucking ass off. I got a full-time job for minimum wage. And when you do that, you make too much to get EBT or any sort of assistance. So I got fucked over even harder because now I'm just bleeding money for years, right? I bled money. I still had the $25,000, but it was bleeding. And I was very smart with it in that I didn't immediately spend it. I think I spent $9,000 on a car and, some other money here or there, but I spent maybe $1,000 on fun stuff, on stuff that I just wanted to feel okay. I bought a Nintendo Switch. I wasn't balling out crazy on $25K. And if you are, I'm impressed. But yeah, I was doing that. I was working full time and going to school, which was unimaginable. And all of my coworkers too, they were laughing at me, waiting for me to pull out of school or, start doing whatever. But I don't know. When I started school, it's my mindset shifted. I couldn't, if I wanted to succeed, I didn't have the fucking time to feel bad about myself. Right? That's what it was. Truly. Was that the want to succeed and prove people wrong was greater than my self-loathing. Because, prior to me going to school, I remember when I was working at the mall, there are two instances that really kind of stand out to me. Ooh, and I still feel it. It's still kind of burns. I don't know how to describe it, but, I have two experiences that stand out. One was with the AVID, one of the AVID teachers in high school. If you don't know what AVID is, it's a college prep course that I did for 4 years. Fucking hated it. But at the same time, I'm really grateful to have had that class and that experience because I don't think I would have succeeded in college without it. And I'll get into that. But yeah, I am working at the mall. One of these AVID teachers is there. I won't say her name, but I had good rapport with this teacher. I never had her as my teacher. I'd only had one AVID teacher, and she was great. I won't get into it. But yeah, I saw this AVID teacher when I was working at the mall, and she comes up to me because she recognizes me. I just graduated high school. I'm sure from her perspective, she sees this young, bright, excited student who was in this college prep course and, is looking forward to going to college and succeeding. Let's go say what's up to him, see what's up. Me, in that moment, it's been a week since my grandpa passed at this time. I'm not feeling very fucking young, bright, or excited. I'm feeling old, stupid, and dumb. This is just the truth of the matter. And so she comes up and is like, oh, like, hi, Matthew, how are you doing? You know, what school are you going to? Because this was a college prep course and all we fucking did was talk about college. And I say, oh, no, I actually dropped out of school and rescinded my enrollment to, at the time it was Cal State San Marcos. I was supposed to go to Cal State San Marcos and do electrical engineering over there. Not a great school, but it was the only one I got into. It was the only school in California that I got into. And so, only school in California that I got into that I could afford. There we go. And so I explained to her, you know, like, I'm not really going to school. I just dropped out because my grandpa, my only parent, is dead. And I need to figure something out. You know, and she looks at me astonished, and I'm like, I think I ended it with like, oh, but it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna go to community college and transfer and become an engineer that way. And she kind of looks at me, and granted, I'm not gonna like fault her for this, right? Like, this is nobody's fault. I completely understand her perspective. And it was that, like, holy fuck, this kid is not set up for success. She kind of, if I remember correctly, her response was sort of like oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. You know, it's okay for you to not go to school, and maybe you should consider looking into trades or a faster path or a shorter path to stability, was her advice. And in so many words, right? But it didn't come off, at the time it didn't come off that way. At the time it came off as, oh yeah, your situation's fucked. I wouldn't recommend doing the college route because it's long, and you probably won't succeed. A lot of, like, I think she even mentioned she brought up some statistic about how many students drop out of community college. I think it was like 84% or something, like, don't finish community college. She slid that into her conversation with me, and it rubbed me the wrong way. Really bad, because it came off as, oh, you don't think I can do this, right? In another instance, I had a similar instance with actually my old principal from elementary school, Mr. Castro. And his wife was actually my kindergarten teacher. You know, so I've known these people very long. They've known my grandfather for very long. They were, it was very heartbreaking the way they reacted. Because I'd seen them and they were excited, and I told them, like, oh, hey, you know, I just graduated high school and super proud, and, you know, what are you going to do next? And I was like, oh, well, I'm actually, you know, not sure. I need to figure out this. And, you know, I think when I mentioned, I think I'd said something along the lines of, you know, my grandfather, who was my only parent, just passed away. I think I want to go to community college and, you know, figure out my career, but I really don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, I remember my old principal, because they were both there. It was him and his wife, my kindergarten teacher. But I remember him kind of going, oh, you know, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, it might not be smart to do that right now. And then he just kind of walked away. Which was like, weird note to like end it on. And I've never seen him since. And so like when that kind of happened, I don't know, it pissed me off. Because it was really a moment of like, oh, this is someone who's known me. They don't believe in me. And so that was the experience I had from, the people who were supposed to give support were kind of doing the opposite. And I had numerous counselors throughout community college explain to me, you really should consider doing half-time or taking less credits. But like nobody understood how bad I wanted this. The prerequisite of working full-time and taking these classes full-time, I thought was enough to show how badly I wanted it. But it kind of felt like I was often told that I wasn't supposed to be feeling that way. I'm supposed to be really overwhelmed and unable to handle unable to manage, so many tasks. But I wasn't. I'm very hard-headed and determined, and maybe I'm stupid for that. Maybe that's the thing that makes me stupid. But I don't give up. And I think I figured it out and I've made it work. And so I just wanted to sit down and capture this moment right now for how proud I am of myself, for how much it means to me, to finally achieve all of this. And again, like I didn't even, getting here was never in the plan. I didn't plan this far ahead. My plan was just put your head down and figure something out. And I think I've done that. I think I've done that pretty fucking well. Truth be told. I'm gonna cut it off here. I think I've ranted enough.